You're listening to the Performance Group Podcast, a place to listen, learn, and get to know the unseen heroes of our local community. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Sean Kirby, and on the Performance Group Podcast, we make it our mission to learn from those around us and shed light on our local community. If you're new to the show, we have spoken to business leaders, community organizers, friends, and family. And before we jump in today, I hope to ask you for a favor. If you could please just take 1 second to hit subscribe and share our posts. It would mean a whole lot to me, our team here at the Performance Group, and our amazing guests on today's show.
Hello, welcome to the first episode of Performance University 10 Rules of Business Podcast. Future #1 podcast in the world. Watch out, Joe Rogan. I am here with the one and only Mr. Joel Cookston of Trek Pools, used to be based out of Anderson, Indiana, now based out of the big, wonderful, glamorous city-state of Cookston, Indiana.
Yes, sir.
Joel, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for responding to somebody on your team responded to my Facebook message. And sent me your number.
It's good to have people.
That's how we touched base originally. I would love to kind of hear the story of Trek Pools and all the things that you guys are doing today. But first, let's go ahead and take a step back.
Let's do.
Tell me kind of where you're from, how you got here, and
my heavens.
how did you end up in this very small conference room with me today?
It's quite a long story, to be honest with you.
We got time, 45 minutes.
So, Anderson native, went to high school, Anderson, Indiana, Highland, if you remember the Highland Scots.
Back in the day,
yes. Grew up there in the bustling GM town of Anderson. Then went to Anderson University. Got a BA in graphic design and marketing, which has really helped me throughout the years, obviously.
What year did you graduate?
College. 2000.
2000.
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness.
It was a bit ago.
So, quick question. So, in 1999, when you were watching that clock about to hit midnight,
we thought things were going to shut down.
Y2K.
Yes.
Was it crazy?
It was.
Were you in college?
But then it went 12:01 and everything was still on.
Oh no.
It was fine.
Yeah. What was it like being in college? Was everybody just like that was the talk, or you guys were just
It
on
really
to the next
was.
thing?
It really was. No. As I recall, I was in Columbus, Ohio. December 31st, 99. Partying away with my soon-to-be wife. And we were all holding hands at midnight, and nothing changed.
Just expecting the rapture.
Just like what society typically does to us, right? Just scares us a little bit, and then everything's the same.
Yeah. It's funny that people in technology were like, well, we really don't know what's going to happen.
It's going to roll over, and our ones and zeros might not roll over with us. But they did.
It's kind of like the Mayan calendar. They just kind of made it not knowing what they were making. Right. They're like, it will end.
At some point.
And who knows?
But it's not tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, everything worked out great. Yeah, so, after Anderson University, went downtown Indy, did a little bit of, my first job was with a print broker down in Indianapolis. Obviously, they needing somebody with technical skill of layout, design, all that fun stuff. So did that for a number of years, working with large companies to kind of fix their files in the old print press days. If you can imagine, that was about 20 years ago or so. When the advent of the printing press was kind of going out into digital, Xerox, the whole bit. So did that for a number of years, and then went full-fledged advertising, was a creative director downtown, managing, a good dozen people from web designers, photographers, developers, all that fun stuff. Then I found myself really inspired and excited about the photo shoots for products. We worked with Stanley Tools, Best Access Doors, downtown Indianapolis, and really found myself drawn to these photo shoots.
Really?
Setting up for products and for people. I mean, it was exciting. There's a lot of there was coffee and bagels for everybody. It was great. Got out of the office, and so one thing led to another, and I thought, these guys are crushing it. They come in, they work a half a day, make $5,000 to $10,000 in a half day. This sounds like fun. So left the job as a creative director, started my own photo agency. there. Did that for about 5 or 6 years, shooting high-end weddings, corporate jobs. It was the best. And as we were talking prior to the podcast here, didn't have kids, right?
Yeah.
And so we were, footloose, fancy free, tons of time in the world, was gone about every weekend. It was almost like Wedding Crashers.
Yep.
With a lot less of the, you know what. But yeah, it was a party every weekend. It was great times. Then, as most entrepreneurs do evolve, right? We look for, or at least I did, I wanted to look for a product that I could market, right? Because as an advertiser, as a photographer, you're honestly always chasing the next high or the next job, right? What's the next thing that's going to pay my bills? I know what pays my bills now. What's going to pay my bills in 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now? And it becomes a little bit painful, right? And so I wanted to find a product. And so, yeah, led me to, honestly, where I am now.
Really? So it led you to shipping containers?
Well, by proxy, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to find something that I could kind of just throw all my talents to. Advertising, marketing, photo, customer service, sales. If I could have a product that I could market, get people excited about, then I wouldn't necessarily have to change or chase the next product.
Yeah.
Right?
Just make one better.
Make one better, continue, more, I guess, of a kind of a passive, right? As an entrepreneur, we always want to try to be aggressive, right? What's that next sale? Well, if I could create something that was a passive machine that was attractive to people, that those people want that product, I could more or less not sit back, but grow that machine instead of growing other people's machines and moving on.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you guys land on shipping container pools? Because that's...
it's an oddity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch HGTV one day and you're like, that makes sense?
It wasn't even on HGTV at the time.
So what year is this?
This was probably, 5, 6 years ago.
Okay.
So it wasn't even live online. There was honestly only one company north of the border in Canada that was doing it. My wife, as wonderful as she is a kindergarten teacher here in the local town of Pendleton. 4 kids during the summers, as most of our wives do when we're not home to help and support, pulling their hair out, right? Honey, I need a pool. Mm-hmm. We need something for these children to enjoy and to distract from life. So, knowing what I knew from my days of advertising for concrete pool companies, fiberglass pool companies, I knew what I was into. I was into probably $60,000 or $100,000 to put a pool in my backyard. We were an elevated home on a slope. I knew a retaining wall was going to be needed, and I looked at her. I thought, honey, this is going to be a large investment. One, I knew it was going to be a liability for me too, right? A pool historically has been a liability. I'm going to sink $100,000 into the pit, in this hole. The future homeowner that maybe wants to buy my home might not want it. Mm-hmm. My kids are going to grow up. I've seen plenty of pools be filled in over the course of my years. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I didn't want to just dump a gob of money into a hole and be covered up at some point. So went to Google, as we always do.
Yeah.
Typed in cheap pools. Found folks taking dumpsters, making pools out of them. I pitched it to my wife. Guess what her response was?
I'm not getting in a dumpster water.
Our kids are not gonna use this dumpster pool. So the rabbit hole then led me down the path to the companies in Canada and Australia doing this, and I thought, man, this is sexy. Mm-hmm. They're taking these shipping containers, repurposing them, and just creating works of art out of them. Honestly, from fabrications to windows, it was very appealing. Nobody here in the States doing it at the time.
Market share. So, as anybody does, well, I don't know, as anybody, as I've learned, most people aren't like us. Yeah.
As you grow, you think, most people are like you and are going to take advantage of, opportunity. So, what I do, found the company in Canada, messaged them, called them numerous times saying, hey, I want to be your extension here in the United States. I want to build these pools with you, for you. Let's do this together. They didn't want anything to do with it, right? So let's fast forward 3-4 years from that email, from that conversation, they probably think that, or at least I would hope that, we lost an opportunity there.
Oops.
Oopsie.
Sometimes you make good decisions in business. Sometimes you make bad. It's always nice just to take the phone call is what I've learned. You never know who's on the other end of the phone.
You don't. And you can never get too cocky and arrogant in your own positioning, right? Whether you're a $5 million, $10 million, $100 million company, there's always that next evolution right behind you. A lot of times, successful folks, well, maybe not successful, but those that are trying to be successful, get these blinders on. I've got a better product. I've got a better service. I'm better at this than anybody else. And you kind of just shun people out rather than saying, you know what? I think that partnership could work. Let's just figure out how, partnering with this group or that group, or, we can all do this together. There's plenty of opportunity to do this as a conglomerate, a JV, what have you. There's a lot of opportunity for those type of partnerships that I think people lose sight on.
Yeah. So are you a big proponent of partnerships?
I love them.
You have a partner in this, right?
I do. I pitched the idea to him about 5 years ago, sitting at Panera in Anderson, going through my phone thinking, man, who can I get to help me do this? I am not a mechanical guy, right? I make things look sexy. I've done a fairly good job over the years of, I say, take the garage band and make it look like Van Halen, right? I can do that. But didn't have the mechanical background. So, yeah, Jim Chaplin, a good friend of mine here locally, worked for kind of a commercial compressor company, very mechanical, very construction-oriented, and just a perfect pairing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can do this, you can do this, we'll leave each other alone, and yeah, it has worked out very well. He's the one that manages everything in the production area, from fab to coatings to equipment, and I stay on the virtual side, talking to people every day, and engineers, architects, homeowners. But yeah, it has worked very well. Now, have we all had partnerships that have not gone well? Yes. And we've learned, right? Through pain or otherwise, or financial. Yeah. We all learn. And I've learned.
They told me education is, you've got informal and formal education. You had your formal education at AU.
Right.
Get your informal education either a good way or a bad way.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like touching the hot frying pan. Right? You've got to feel a little pain to change sometimes. Right?
And if you touch it again, shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you. So, yes.
So that's been fun. So did you guys fabricate your first one? Did he fabricate it?
Oh, no.
Okay,
absolutely
so
not.
you farmed it out?
Yeah, we used the Henry Ford model in the very beginning, right? We didn't know anything there was to know about pools. I've never owned a pool. He never owned a pool. So what do? You go to those folks that know what to do in those compartmentalized areas, right? So, yeah, we went to a commercial fabrication company in Indianapolis, a union trades group. They did all the fabrication welding for us. Then we hired some contractors from local Sherwin-Williams commercial group that came in, painted, coated it for us, and then we hired a plumbing, a pool company to come in and do all the equipment. And you definitely learn that while these folks have the trade calling card, maybe not necessarily the best people to use.
Yeah.
Right? And again, you'll learn. The pool company, won't name any names, but they didn't really know that, hard 90s in plumbing is not a good thing in a pool, right? Reduces head pressure and whatnot. We had about we had about a dozen 90-degree plumbing fixtures within the cabinet.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. And it was, and when we turned it on, it was a water feature of its own. There was water spraying everywhere. So yes, we built probably about 6 or 8 pools that way. Then we found a space in Anderson. Madison County was great to get us into that space in Madison County, kind of drive us from Marion County to Madison County.
Awesome.
Had about a 10,000 square foot operating facility there, about 18 months there. Internalized everything from fabrications to coatings to equipment. It worked out great. We, just last January, we were a party of 3. Now we're a party of 15.
Goes quick.
So, yeah, it has really ramped up. Again, we're outselling what we can produce. And so what I've definitely learned in this infant industry, there's no handbook to doing this. companies are struggling to understand how to build these as tough as possible. There is a reason why billion-dollar corporations like Sherwin-Williams, Dow, BASF, they don't offer any pool coatings, period. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Right. You would think, right? Billion-dollar corporation. Yeah, here's a paint for your pool. Here's an epoxy for your pool. Here's a, Elastomeric, what have you. There's a reason why they don't play in the pool industry, because it is so volatile, right? Homeowners are notorious for dumping chemicals in their pools that shouldn't be there. Those coatings fail by the wayside. And so it has been a learning experience to know what to put in the pools. But we have landed on a plaster finish currently that, I don't need to go into technical details there, but very similar to a concrete pool, accent and maintenance of it, longevity of it. We've got some things in the works now that will hopefully ramp up our production, right? The amount of time it takes to build one of these, people don't know. I mean, we're about 4 or 5 weeks from start to finish. Coatings alone eats up about 10 days. You can't build thousands of units when you're in 10 days per product, per unit. So, we've got some things in the works that hopefully will really ramp up that production, because, to date, we've sold about 80 this year alone. 80 pools in the grand scheme of things, if you look at it, there were about 100,000 pools installed last year alone in the U.S.
Yeah.
I'm a big Shark Tank guy. I hate when entrepreneurs go in and say it's $1 billion industry. If I had 2% of that, we could be 100 million. That's not me. But you do have to realize the number game and where this could possibly go. Unlike a traditional service business where you can say no to people, hey, I'm too busy. We can't take any more customers. Dental, vision, doctors, right? We're packed up. Sorry. In the pool industry or a product industry, you've got to figure out how to reduce that delivery time frame, right? People don't want to wait 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. 6 to 8 months is a sweet spot for us. So we've got to do that. Developers are calling us, that are building hundreds of homes in certain areas of the country, Mexico, Arizona, or New Mexico, Texas, and they're wanting to offer these pools. How do you offer hundreds of pools a year to some of these groups? And these are just onesie, twosie groups. So we've got to figure out how to scale quickly. And so, again, I think some of the things that are coming down the line, I'm very excited about, to hopefully get to that point where we can duplicate this model, not just here in central Indiana, but East Coast, West Coast.
So that would be multiple, fabrication centers?
Yes, sir.
Distribution centers?
Yes, sir.
Just expand.
You got to expand. And to expand, you've got to keep quality, right? How do you keep quality if you're not there? Jim and I are very OCD when it comes to quality. If something's not done right, it's done over again. It doesn't matter if it costs us time and money. We're not going to send out an inferior product, right? And I think that's what helps build our brand and our customer service. People, if you tell them, hey, your pool's going to be 2 weeks late, and here's why, right? They may be mad, right? But they're going to understand, hey, these guys are trying to do the best they can. They're going to redo something that they don't feel is best. So, in duplicating that model across the country, how do you create production processes that are somewhat or very easy to understand, very easy to duplicate? What we're doing now is not. It's very craftsman oriented.
Well, and I think especially with you guys being, going from 3 to 18, you're learning those lessons pretty quickly about how to create those processes.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not just you. How do you take Joel out of the equation?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And let's be honest, I have never fabricated a pool, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now, have I coated and helped, do some of the finishing touches? Yes. But craftsmanship, Mike Rowe, let's be honest, Mike Rowe, my biggest hero, biggest fan. He's taught us that the craftsman, the production area in this country is dwindling, right? We see the same thing. While folks can work on lines in production facilities, what we do is very hands-on: painting, coating, plastering, where you're using a steel trowel. Very much like concrete work. It's hard to find qualified people in this day and age.
And hard to, from a time standpoint, to train those people.
Yes.
It just takes time. It just takes time.
It does.
And passion.
And buy-in. You've got to throw your passion into the person that you're training so that maybe they can have half as much passion as you do, right? I'm never thinking, I've worked for guys before or worked with companies. I've always, been the guy that helps other entrepreneurs build their companies. I think a lot of times we fall into the pit of thinking other people are going to dive in as much as we are, right? They're going to stay as late as we are. They're going to wake up as early as we are. That's not the case, folks. Let's be honest. These are employees. At best, we want 50% of what we give to be invested in our employees. So I feel like we've built a very good culture where we are. We pay them top dollar for this area. I think that's why we don't have turnover. We just keep piling people in.
Yeah.
They show up early. They take action. They take ownership of their own area, which is very exciting, right?
It's cool to watch. It's like raising kids.
It is. It's fantastic. And most of our employees have only been with us for 18 months at most, right? They're not looking for the gold watch retirement plan at this point, but it is just phenomenal to walk through the shop and to see people making their areas more lean efficient, right? Organizing, cleaning, not anything directly related to the product, but it is directly related, right? Yeah. The less we have to move things, the less we have to touch things, we're making better decision for the company. And everybody is so bottom line oriented in our group. They're always looking for ways to save money. Right? If we did this and didn't have to buy that, or personally, it's just so fulfilling to see people act like that.
So do you guys have a profit sharing program that incentivizes that, or you just
Not
have
yet. So
awesome people?
We have awesome people that we pay top dollar hourly.
Yeah.
But we're actually working with Eli Hirschberger here out of Pendleton with a lot of profit sharing programs for this coming year.
Awesome.
So yeah, hopefully, we'll see if our employees are listening, but that is coming.
We hope so.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, and
hopefully they're working.
I think if you've worked for somebody before and you can see, you take the good things, you take the bad things, right? And then you mix and match and say, if I were to create the perfect environment for me when I was that age, maybe I would have never left.
Never. Yeah. And you've got to incentivize. I mean, I know there's salary. I know there's hourly, and we've all been there. We've all done it. But to a point, as an employee, you're invested, right? But what is going to push you as an employee to really go that extra mile? And some of us already do. Some employees are already geared up like that, but I would say a vast majority are not, right? And so how do you incentivize them to not only push themselves personally, but how do you push them to push the team, right? Because you want your employees to say, okay, we need to hit 5 this month, whatever 5 widgets you're working for.
Yeah.
Well, if the first group that is developing this widget gets their job done, well, they're waiting on the last group to get that. This last group needs to say, hey, folks, can you help us? We need to get this last widget out. Can you come up to our area, whatever that is, to help push this thing out? Because then we all win.
The common goal, man.
It is, yeah.
The common goal.
A rising tide.
Hey, it lifts all boats. That's one of my favorite quotes. Clayton Whitson told me that in the very first podcast he did with us. And since then, it's been one of those quotes that's stuck with me.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. We all have to help each other.
Absolutely.
In fact, on a side note, had one of my employees come to me this morning. She's got a side hustle. Won't mention what it is, but I love side hustles. And even as an employer that I know that I could lose this employee, I'm fine with it, right? I love to see people and enable people to succeed because I know personally their goal is not to build my company, right? Mm-hmm. And so when she came to me, I was like, yes, here's what you need to do. Business. Do you have a business plan? Do you have a website? What are you going to do? Just nailing her with all these things and saying, this is what you need to do. And why not empower folks to do that?
Well, and at the same time, she's going to give back to you.
Absolutely.
She's going to feel guilty leaving. She's going to hire her own replacement.
Right.
And it's not...
And you don't want people to live with that guilt. We all have enough pressure and negative mojo in this world, right?
Yeah.
We need to encourage people to go out, do your own thing, have the job that you love. I mean, life is too short, man. Too short.
Absolutely.
Come on.
That's the dream, man. So in our 10 rules of business, our first rule of business is stay in business, right? So stay in business to a lot of people is that survival stage.
Yes.
Right? So when you guys were first getting started and you made this investment and your wife is a kindergarten teacher and she's looking at you saying, what in the heck are you doing?
You know what? We can scratch that. Though.
Why?
My wife is a freaking angel. She, as a kindergarten teacher, as a teacher in general, they are mainstays of this society.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, folks in the education department are lifers. They don't want to change. There's a reason why they stick with it for, God, I mean, she's been with it for 18 years now. Yeah. She doesn't want to change. I had to push her to change into being a music teacher this year. So God love her. She's always been the stable force in this relationship.
You have to have
I have been the unstable one. Let's be honest, right? The crazy like a fox guy. So, she's never questioned me. God love her, right? She's maybe, turned a crooked eye to me, but always been a supporter.
Good.
So
during your hard days,
yes.
right? The early days, what were some of the things you had to keep telling yourself about just staying in business? We're not profitable yet. We're trying to get profitable.
Right.
Like, how do we get to that point? What were you telling yourself? What made the wheels keep turning? Even when maybe you wanted to quit.
Positivity, honestly, man. I mean, even if you're not succeeding, you are, right? There's always a point in our daily lives that we can be appreciative of, right? Let's look. I'm a half full type guy.
Gotta be.
Can't be half empty. I mean, there's so much half empty crap in this world, right? So much negativity. There's so much positivity. Even if you're broke as a joke, you're still rich. You're still wealthy. What do I got 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, right? I'm healthy, even if, I got kids, got a wife. There's so much to be thankful for.
Yeah.
I think that's, even if you're single, you can still drive. Even if you're working at Wendy's, you can still drive your hope every day, even if you're taking, a combo order, right? What's that next step? What am I doing when I get off of work to then think, how can I change my life a week from now, a month from now, a year from now? So it's just that half full mentality. And like any entrepreneurial book will tell you, surround yourself with that, right? If we surround ourselves with negative Nellies, you ain't going to last very long. Yeah. Right. And if you can't find people like us, like me, like you, don't surround yourself with anybody. Get a book, listen to a darn podcast. I mean, right. There might not be people in your local area that are like us.
Yeah.
Early, before the podcast, we were talking, as we get older, we realize that we are different than most people out there. And to realize that you've got to be the encourager of your own destiny, right? Because people aren't like us.
No, there's a lot of naysayers, and I don't think it's inherent. I don't think people want you not to succeed. I just think that
it's not that.
Sometimes it just feels good to be right. Sometimes, right? And I think that's what they want. I think that's the reason somebody didn't take your call, because they don't want to give up the market share.
Correct.
And you still look at it. You sold 80
It's a pride
pools,
thing.
right?
It's a pride thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to give up. Being the leader, being the one that everybody knows or is famous, right? I've never aspired to be famous, right? Yeah. I'm not on Facebook much.
Yeah,
right?
You just happen to be famous, right?
Yeah, I guess. In China, maybe.
Buy enough shipping containers, yeah. You might be.
That's true. We are buying a lot of those from China. So.
So was there a day you woke up and you realized that maybe not that you made it, but you figured out how to make it profitable and you're making money
in the current business?
In the business.
Yes.
Well, you got out of survival.
Right. So I think when you get out of the 50-50 is what I call it, right? Because when we're working that JOB and we're trying to do the side hustle and you're balancing.
So you had a job originally?
Oh, totally.
So
I worked with another investment group building another company for somebody else.
Okay. So
yes,
you were working this side by side, and
correct.
At one point you had to make a decision.
Correct. And at that point, Jim was with me, right? We were working 4 or 5 hours a night after our current jobs, if you will, our current roles, going down to Indy, building these things on our own, right?
How are you financing them? Just cash, just investing everything you had?
So that's the beauty about our business, right? Early on, we took an investment from a good friend of ours. Obviously, it's fun, and I hope to be that guy down the road. I go to Ivy Tech and talk about their entrepreneurial class and help folks and kind of guide them along on what to do and what not to do. Kind of the easy road, easy button. But I hope to be that guy later on that has financial stability enough to provide other folks that opportunity, right? We were gifted $20,000 to build our first pool.
Wow.
Right? And the gentleman, good friend of Jim's, not of mine, was a CEO of a major global company, happened to live in Marklettville for a time, flew to New York from Monday through Thursday every week for his job, but lived in Marklettville. Won't name his name, but like,
How about
can you
that?
imagine? Right?
Yeah.
Like right here in Marklettville. Phenomenally experienced, savvy businessman. Was one of those that you asked a question and he came back with a question, right? There were no answers.
Love that.
Love
What
those
the
guys.
perfect
Right?
mentor.
Oh.
Plus, you're never wrong as the mentor.
Oh, of course, right. And I've
That's
learned
like a
that too.
shaman.
It is. It's like, well, what would you do? How
Yeah.
do you feel? Yes. So gifted us 20 grand. And I remember vividly sitting across the table from him when he said yes to this crazy idea. He said, "Gentlemen, I've written off this money. If nothing comes of it, it's okay." And right there, I mean, the load, the pressure, the guilt, I mean, it really helped to ease a lot of that, right? Because if he would have said, "I'm counting on this," I'm sorry, I'm counting on this, fellas, right?
Makes you sign the amortization schedule before you
Right.
walk out the door.
You're going to start paying tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? But no, he gave us 2 years. And at the point of the first year, we were able to give to pay that money back.
Awesome.
We offered it to him. He said, "I don't need it. I don't want it. I tell you what, just give me 5%. At that point, we thought, "Oh man, that's a great trade." At this point, wow, 5% is actually more than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Right? But no, he's very savvy. But yeah, that's how we got started early on. The beauty about this business, it's a cash flow business.
Good.
And so we take 30% of the build up front, 30% before we go to build, and then 40% before we ship the pool. So at that point,
And you guys do no installs, or you guys
no installs.
Oh, that's beauty.
Right.
Gorgeous.
We build it, we ship it, they take it off the truck, and they put it wherever they want to. Yes. It's a really great business model.
Heck yeah.
Don't get any ideas. If you do, call me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you do and you want to, at least talk it through about maybe another
So many
market.
companies.
Yeah.
Right? So there are container companies in the ports across the United States.
Yep.
So, say Austin, San Diego, Carolinas. And they've all contacted us saying, "Hey, we modify containers. We don't want to build pools, but can we partner with you to build your pools for you?" We haven't got to that point like we talked about duplication, right?
Yeah.
You can't pass off a recipe without knowing that they're going to do it 100%. So
You
have
need to try the food first.
What?
You need to try their food first, right?
Right.
Make sure that they're a good cook.
That's true. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
QC. QC.
It is QC. It's a lot of traveling. So anyhow,
Fun. That's a good reason to travel, though.
it is. Yes. Growth, opportunity. Hopefully, we've this company has afforded us so much diversification of people. I've talked to the U.S. Olympic swim coach. I've talked to the Global Swim Association president. They're doing the right.
Yeah.
Us, right?
Yeah.
I am nobody, right? I don't claim to be anybody, but it is phenomenal the people that call us and say, "We're doing these programs." For instance, the U.S. Olympic swim coach and the Global Swim Association, they're doing these island swimming, I don't know what you call them, training programs. They're starting in Cayman. They're going to Bermuda.
Really?
They want to take shipping containers, put them on a truck, send them to schools every 30 days.
How cool.
Right?
How cool.
And they want to brand the outside with all these kids on the, it's, who would have thought there's such a high mortality rate of drowning deaths in island nations?
That's a good
So
point.
anyhow, side note.
That's a good point. I like that. That's
It is
beautiful.
interesting who we talk to. Developers that are wanting these pools on rooftops. Talk to a guy, a professor at Yale, that was creating some robotic turtle program, wanting our containers to be inside their facilities. A guy that goes to Burning Man, right? Burning Man,
Yep,
out
yep,
west,
yep.
wants to build 3 of these out in the desert.
That makes more sense. He might want a robotic turtle.
Right.
If he's at Burning Man.
Pool. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That sounds like an idea that came from Burning Man.
It probably did as they were wandering through the desert.
Yes.
So it is absolutely phenomenal where this company has positioned us, has taken us. It's really exciting, to be honest with you. Have we had failures? Is it painful as heck? Yes. But, where we're going, I can see that it's hopefully going to minimize some of that pain and failure point.
Absolutely.
Early on, right?
Yeah. And you made it through the struggles, and now, you're not... And something
and
we
the
talked
recalls, let's call it. I mean,
yeah,
automobile companies, right?
What we were talking about before we even started, when we were talking about somebody who wanted to jump the line with a bunch of cash, you said, well, I'm a man of integrity. But that same man of integrity takes those recalls, fixes them, makes his product better so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, version 1.0, right? Our I'm going to call them our beta pools. Back in the day, back in the day, it was only 2 years ago, but our first 6 or 8 pools, we were sold kind of a boat. The interior coating has failed on about 6 of these pools. So we've been flying across the country, taking 3 or 4 people with us, sandblasting, recoating, redoing them.
Yeah.
Whether they're out of warranty or not, that's beside the point, right? I mean, it's about doing the right thing, building the brand. Because in this day and age, even if you're out of warranty, somebody's going to go online.
It's reputation management.
It is. And it's not just about reputation, but it's about doing the right thing, right? So these beta 1 pools, we've been going out. Has it been painful? Yeah. But hopefully moving on, you don't have those issues, and you can put that pain behind you.
And even as a marketing guy, you can always figure out a way to turn that back around.
It is a story. It's a good story. And you take the drone with you. You get the family there that's obviously happy. Didn't know let's be honest, most companies these days let people down.
Yeah.
They don't think that you're coming. Like, they're literally shocked when we show up. We've had families make dinner for us, give us coolers of beer. I mean, we're there for 3 to 4 days. We're in their backyard.
Talking.
Right.
Getting to know them.
Here's coffee. Here's a breakfast burrito. I mean, they don't think, one, you're coming. They don't know how hard we work. Some of these pools we work for, 15, 17-hour days, right? Because we want to consolidate and we want to get there, get it done, and get out, right? When people come to us at 2 a.m, say, you guys are still here? Yeah, we're still here. We're going to fix this. We're going to get going, right? It's just, I think to a point in my head, I want to try to think maybe I'm helping them uncover motivation in their own life, right? We've had guys that have gone to their houses that their fences have holes in them because that's when the pool came in 6 months ago. They never fixed their fence. And so we offer, hey, do you want us to fix your fence? The next day, the guy's out there digging a hole, putting the fence in, right? It's like, as a society, we can be encouragers and motivators, right? A lot of times we get down in the dumps. We just need somebody to pull us out of that.
Man, that's going to be something to try to keep at scale as you grow, right?
Right.
That's the hardest part.
It is.
Not everybody's a Joel.
Or a Jim, right? We're
sorry, Jim.
That's all good. That's all good. No, Jim's as hard as a worker as I am. But I think through positivity, correction, right? It's like a kid. I think as an entrepreneur, as a young dad, right? Mm-hmm. We have to treat our employees like children, right? You have to discipline. You have to love hard. You have to discipline. You have to love hard. If you lose that love hard and courage, then and all you're doing is discipline, your kids are going to run. Your employees are going to run. Yeah. They're going to go to drugs. They're going to go to friends. They're going to go do something bad, right?
Yeah.
So, it is about that balance.
That's the hardest thing.
Encouraging, motivating.
Well, that kind of answers the next question, because rule number 4 is attract and keep good people, right? Both customers and the people internally.
Right.
And I think culture is one of those, it's kind of been a buzzword for a long time.
It has been.
And you definitely see it much more, I would say, in office settings, or there's work from home culture, right? You don't see people
cubicle setting,
right? But you don't see people talking about culture in a manufacturing setting, or fabrication, or craftsmanship, right?
When a lot of people have the headphones on, the PPE
people are just
on,
focus on their job,
correct?
Right?
Yep.
So that's a totally different thing.
It is. Culture is a huge thing. I think when you see your employees walking around the shop singing, whistling, right? High-fiving, joking. You can't dispel that or discourage that just because you want to maintain a level of productivity, right? Yeah. We are big advocates. I mean, we're a small company, but yet we celebrate every birthday. We'll bring in food. We'll bring in cake. We'll bring in balloons. We'll make them wear the silly hat.
The doggone hat.
The doggone hat. Excuse me. I get
damn
passionate.
doggone hat.
Right? They hate it, but they love it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's that culture. And you don't have to be a multi-million-dollar company to have that culture. You can be a party of 3 and still be that positive influence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the last thing we have on here is, don't get greedy and give back. What are some of the things that you guys do to try to give back to not only your community, but customers and people some tips and tricks?
Well, customers, let's be honest, they already get the sweet end of the deal because they get the pool, right?
That's what it's all about.
They get the pool.
The sexy pool.
It is. So and they get fantastic customer service. Let's be honest. In today, we were talking, right? Texting has just gotten out of hand with owners, with just the communication line. Once that customer receives your cell phone, they think it's an open, it's open game, right?
Open line.
And so you do have to create those boundaries. But again, that customer service, in this day and age, we can FaceTime. Right? If a customer has a problem with a pool or with a component, has questions, we get on the FaceTime and you hold it, you have an employee hold it. I think it is that customer service that excels. Remind me the question again. Sorry.
Don't get greedy and give back.
Don't
I think
greedy.
that's what we were
Sorry,
talking
I got
about.
off on it.
No, but I don't disagree at all with what you're
So,
saying, right? Because of the way that we can communicate, it does make it that much.
So how do we
it's
get
personable. You're not a chat bot, right? Everybody else wants to fuck.
Gosh.
Pardon my language.
We are getting passionate up
But
in
that's
here.
the thing is most people are just like, well, I put this chat bot on here so Amy will chat you through this.
Right.
But that's the scalability. You get big.
It is.
And they have to. The Amazons of the world can't FaceTime you.
People want that immediate answer. And I get it. So how do we give back? So a lot of, and I told you that, our clients obviously get the sweet end of the deal by getting the product. Profit sharing, I'm a big fan of profit sharing. We're getting to that point. I am not a proponent of the yacht, of the 12 beach houses, of the Corvette. I'm not that guy. I got to be honest. I'm not flashy. I still drive the 94 Silverado with the rusted floor in it, right? And I love it. I got to be honest. It's a humbling experience, and I think we all need a little bit humble in our lives. So to that point, I love giving back to the employees. I think the rising tide rises all ships. We've got to incentivize folks to do more, work harder within that 8-hour period of time, right? Can they go to the water spigot 12 times a day? Can they go to the bathroom 15 times a day? Yes, they can. But if they're incentivized monetarily and financially to do more, we're all going to win, right? So yes, profit sharing is big. We're a big fan of nonprofits. So waterforgood.org is a big one that we provide every pool we donate money to.
Oh, cool.
Or from. They dig wells in the Congo. Obviously, here locally too. We provide our clients we can either give to waterforgood.org or my business partner Jim used to be the fire chief here locally.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he did that for several decades. So we are big first responder backers. So we can either give to waterforgood.org or a local first responder chapter. If somebody says, hey, good friend, fire department, police department, what have you, we'll donate to that local group per pool as well, which we just love. I love going in and talking to local schools. Ivy Tech, been there several times, entrepreneurial course. I think it's not just about money, right? I think time is honestly more valuable than money. If we can go and start encouraging other people to build a business, to get out of a funk, get out of a rut, mental negativity and depression these days is just as bad as not getting a job, right? So I think, the encouraging factor, helping people along is bigger than really donating money. That goes into a black hole sometimes.
Well, and I think that's been lost over time because some people think that money solves all problems.
Right.
But what do they say about money? Money's the root of all evil. Right. So time. I just lost both my grandparents on my dad's side in the last 2 months.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But I will tell you, they weren't rich people.
Right.
They lived in a trailer in Daleville my entire life. They had stuff. There's stuff people.
Yeah.
But like cutesy stuff. So
Knickknacks.
knickknacks.
Yes.
Love knickknacks.
That's the demographic and the age. Yes.
They had, my grandpa would make clocks, which were just like normal clocks, just clocks that you would buy from the store, $10 clock.
Okay.
And then he would cut out a paper picture of each grandkid and make them the face of the clock.
Aw.
So everybody had their own clock.
Yes.
And what I learned and what to come back to is, money is nice, but time is what they had. So that's what they gave.
Absolutely.
So
It's time or money, baby.
their presence was the present.
Mm-hmm.
And it meant so much more to the
So
family.
much more. Yep.
It changes the dynamic,
Yes.
right? So, there's people that would just shove money at a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people that won't give their time.
I am fortunate as well. Similar background and experience. Won't mention who, obviously, but we've got family that has a ton of time invested in our kids, right? We've got family that has a ton of money invested in our kids, right? So there is that time or money. What do you have? And we can be rich in both aspects, right? We don't have to be rich monetarily. You can be rich in the time bucket. And investing time into people, man, that's how our communities get better.
Yeah, and especially with the mentorship that you gained.
Yeah,
originally from your CEO from Arkellville.
absolutely, and other
You just
business
wanna pass
people,
it on.
right? And other mentors that I've learned over the years too. I've got buddies that are my age, older. That I've hit up on several occasions. What would you do here? What would you do here? It's been. You've got to have that group, and you've got to go find it. You've got to chase after it, just like a business. You've got to chase after those things that you need.
Yeah. If you can't find it, just keep digging.
Just keep digging.
Just keep digging.
Love it.
Perfect. Well, Joel,
Yes, sir.
today was a blast.
It was good times.
Good
I appreciate
times.
you.
I appreciate you too. So everybody go to, what is it, trekpools.com?
Trekpools.com.
Trekpools.com.
Not everybody, just a couple of you.
Yeah, not everybody. We're on a bit of a wait list, but it is an absolute amazing opportunity to find you something that nobody else has locally, as well as something that can, inspire those across a nation. Joel,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much, sir.
I appreciate you.
You have a great,
Thank you for
wonderful
what you
day. Bye, guys.